System design and layouts with the new Fronius Tauro inverter. Hello and welcome everybody to our webinar today here at Fronius. This is the topic, the overall topic we want to take a look at the new Tauro inverter. But before we start, I quickly want to introduce the team for today's webinar. So my name is Christoph Schierlinger. I'm from the team Trainings and Education here at Fronius International. I'm the speaker for today's webinar. I will guide you through the slides. And next to me is my colleague Michael Raunig. He's also from the team Trainings and Education. And today he's responsible for the chat. My first request to you, dear audience, if you have any questions during or after the webinar, please don't hesitate. Use the chat function on the right side of your screen and send us your questions. Michael is trying to answer them as quick as possible. And maybe if we have a few questions after the webinar, we can answer them live. And yeah, so please just send the questions. So then I quickly want to show you the agenda, the subtopics for today. Yeah, first of all, we want to take a look at system topology. What's actually the difference between central and decentral on a PV system? I know it's mostly known by you, but anyway, I want to show it again to pick out a few topics. Then we want to go on the Tauro options. Because of the topic before, central and decentral, we want to take a look at what's good with the new Tauro. What can we do on the AC and on the DC side? What's so flexible about this product? After this, I want to show you some layout examples because everything is better to understand with examples. And after all, after the whole topics, a conclusion, of course, where do we have to use which Tauro option to have the best system design? That's the finish then. So then I would say let's start with the first topic. Yeah, a few data about the new Fronius Tauro Echo device. So it's coming in two power classes. It's a 50 or 100 kilowatt device. It looks the same, like we can see here on the right side. It just has two power stacks inside with the 100 kV and one power stack with the 50 kV device. Yeah, both of them, that's because it's called Echo. Both of them have one MPP tracker, and the MPP voltage range is from 580 up to 930 volt DC. The maximum, again, the same with all other Fronius inverters, is a maximum 1000 volt DC. Yeah, the weight depends actually on the power class, of course. It's between 72 and 101 kilogram. So yeah, therefore we need at least 3 people, let's say. So yeah, what makes the Tauro so special? First of all, it's extremely robust. That's also why it's so heavy, of course. It's actually designed for unprotected outdoors. So again, the same thing as we have similar with the snap inverter concept. It's designed for outdoor, so rain, water, snow, harsh environments, doesn't matter. We can install it there. It's not harming the inverter. AC-DC chaining option, the second point. It's in red here because we want to take a closer look into that topic today. I don't want to explain it right now. I just want to give you the hint. With the AC-DC chaining option, we can do a lot of cost savings on the AC side. More details will follow in the following slides. Yeah, third point, easy installation. It's easy to mount it. It's easy to install and commission it. We have a 3-step setup with this product. It's very fast, very rapid to do. And also yeah, the commissioning is very fast because we have V-clamps inside the Tauro device. So big V-clamps where we don't need any crimping tools or something else like this. It's very fast to install. Next point is easy and rapid service. Of course, as with every product at Fronius, it's on-site serviceable. So the PC boards, exchange components and so on can be exchanged by one person. We don't need to exchange the whole device, which leads to a very rapid service. Next point, system monitoring hardware is on board. Of course, it's on board as standard. So we can do a full monitoring on Fronius SolarWeb with all the products, with all the inverters. And therefore, it's much easier to maintenance the whole system. And last but not least, also written in red because we want to take a closer look, cost reduction due to flexible system design. We have a few options we can pre-order when we configure the Tauro we want to buy, which leads to a very cost-effective system design then. Yeah, and in the both red subtopics we want to take a closer look into, let's start with the topology first. So I mentioned central and decentral. I quickly want to go through that topic again. Yeah, what does central system design mean? So actually it means we have, going from left to right, we're going from the modules combined to DC connection boxes. So actually all the strings are combined within those boxes, and then we go with bigger DC cables, a longer distance to the Fronius Tauro or to the inverter itself, and then to the main distribution frame, the AC panel, the transformer. So therefore, on a central system design, we have usually long DC cable distances. Looking at the decentral system, of course, it's the difference here. We have the inverters installed near the modules, and therefore we can directly connect the strings to the inverter itself, and we then have a long AC cable distance to the main distribution frame. So these are the differences, just again to repeat the differences here. We will come back to this topic a little bit later on. Yeah, now I quickly want to explain the whole mystery about AC-DC chaining. So I mentioned it's possible to have a lot of cost reduction on the AC side with this option. Actually, what it means is we don't have to do a system like we see here down below. This would be a system where every inverter, let's calculate here with 50 kilowatt devices, every 50 kilowatt devices separately connected via AC cable to the main distribution frame. Of course, in this scenario, we would have a lot of AC cabling going on. With the AC-DC chaining option, it would be possible to combine all of the four 50 kilowatt devices from AC to AC to AC and then to the main distribution frame. And what it leads to is, of course, a very low cable cost. So actually there is a limit, of course. It's a maximum of 200 kilowatt, which we can interconnect to each other. This can be done with 200 kilowatt or 450 kilowatt devices. And yeah, it's an option that we can pre-order. It's actually just a separate V-clamp option that's inside the Tauro, where we can then go from one input from the previous inverter to the next one and so on. So that's a very cost-effective AC cabling then. So let's get one step deeper into the design options with the Tauro. What can be done on the DC connection actually? That's also very important to remember when ordering the device, because there are two options we can order. On the one side, we have a Fronius Tauro D for direct option. This means it's usually used for decentral systems where we have directly underneath the modules somewhere, so we directly connect the modules. This is because we have MC4 plugs on the device for a direct connection. The number of strings is here for the 50 kV device 14 strings and for 122. Also the string fuses and string monitoring would be possible with this option. That's the first one, left side. On the right side, we can see the Fronius Tauro P for pre-combined. It means we don't have MC4 plugs anymore, but we have big V-clamps where we can connect big DC cables from 25 up to 95 square millimeter. And of course, this option is then perfect for use in central installations where we are far away from the modules, near the transformer, and we have to run long DC cables. Perfectly used in this scenario. Yeah, the integrated V-clamps is, so the number of V-clamps is, we have 2 plus and 2 minus connections, so 2 big strings can be connected here. And that's the first thing to take in consideration. According to your system topology, you need to choose between one of these DC options of the Fronius Tauro inverter. Good. Let's proceed. A closer look again on the AC-DC chaining option, because the slide before was on the DC side option we can choose. Now on the AC side, yeah, what do we have here? I already mentioned it. A unique system design is possible here. We can connect up to 200 kilowatt AC power here together. Yeah, what it leads to is, of course, saving on the cable costs. Less AC cable is necessary in total. And also, of course, less components are necessary. If we imagine the system before with the 4 50 kV devices separately connected to the main distribution frame, we would have to use 4 AC disconnectors for every inverter one. And looking at the option on the right top here, on the right corner, we only would have to use 1 AC disconnector directly on the main distribution frame. And of course, one bigger disconnector is cheaper than 4 smaller ones. So therefore, we have also cable less component costs in total. Yeah, and the last point is it's, yeah, I already mentioned that it's optionally integrated. You can also order it with AC-DC chaining option. It's a little up-priced with something around under 100 euros, and then it's integrated. Yeah, I quickly want to show you this comparative example here, just to make it a little bit more understandable. So in this installation, we would have 200 kilowatt devices with connected with 240 square millimeter cables to the main distribution frame. Yes, 240 square millimeters are possible with the Fronius Tauro. And of course, with this, we have a lot of cables, and 2 AC disconnectors would be possible, would be necessary. Next option would be then an installation with an AC combiner. Yeah, here we would have a little bit less cable costs, but the AC combiner box is also a little bit uppriced, so we would have to spend a lot of money on this component as well. And the last topic, of course, the AC-DC chaining option would be then directly connected, both of the inverters and then to the main distribution frame. Yeah, only 1 AC disconnector necessary, no AC combiner box necessary, and a lot less cable costs. Yeah, and please take in consideration a maximum of 200 kV AC can be interconnected here. So let's step ahead and take a closer look now at the design flexibility. So now I want to show you some examples here. First of all, let's take a look on the D option, so direct connection with MC4 plugs, which is possible with the Fronius Tauro. 3 of these examples I want to show you here. The first one on top would be a simple solution. We have installed the Tauro near the PV system, near the modules, and then run a long AC cable with 240 square to the main distribution frame. Perfectly fine here. Second, down below, we would have a AC-DC chaining option. Again, 240 square millimeters would be used here. Also a perfect option here. And because of the big AC cable diameter, we don't have so much losses also. Cable losses also very important in these equations. And here it's not that big of a problem because of the big diameter. Cross section, sorry. Yeah, and on the bottom down below we have a very cool option also for very long distances on the AC side. For example, the customer says, I want a D option, so near the modules, but I also have a great distance between inverter and distribution frame. There it would be possible to order a Tauro with AC-DC chaining option, and then we run 2 AC cables, big AC cables in parallel from the inverter to the main distribution frame. We use actually the second set of V-clamps for the second run of the AC cabling, and we would have less losses and also possible to deliver a lot of power over a great distance. So looking at the P option now, where would we use this? Of course, in a central solution, in a central topology. We have near the modules DC string combiner boxes. We collect all of them and then run big DC cables up to 95 square millimeter to the Tauro inverter. And as we can see here on top, 230 meters distances would be no problem with this solution here. Because of the high DC voltage, 700, 800 volt on the DC side, it's even less problem with greater distances regarding the power losses, the cable losses. Yeah, that's also why we want to use longer DC cables when we have longer distances to run. Yeah, and the example down below would be then actually a combination between the positive effects of the pre-combined series, which would be the DC, the long DC cables, high square millimeters, and then we would have a Fronius daisy chain option with 2 AC cables in parallel. Also, greater distances can be done here, and in total, we would have here a very long distance we can do here with this option. So also combinations can be done here. But now let's take a closer look at a few examples I want to show you. First of all, I want to show you here an example of a 1 megawatt peak PV installation. It's a free field, and we have roughly calculated here with 150 and 80 meters in measurements. So this should be roughly around 1 megawatt system. And yeah, in this system we calculated with 125 kilowatt peak module arrays, and for every array we would have here 1 Tauro 100 device. 8 of them would be connected to those panels, and we have D options here, so near the modules and directly connected via MC4 plugs. And what we also can see here is that every inverter is individually connected via AC cable to the main distribution frame. So let's take a closer look on the advantages here. Of course, we don't need any additional DC combiner box. We save a lot of costs here. It's also an easy planning. So what do I mean with standard design? So actually, when we look at the installations most of the system designers all around the globe are doing, this would be mostly a solution by them. We have no obstacles here. This would be the first solution, or the solution that would come up the most often. So it's a very easy planning, straightforward, without any problems. And the third advantage, of course, is the string monitoring, which is possible because, as we heard with the Tauro D direct connection, we can separately see each and every string, do a string monitoring via SolarWeb. So what can we do in advance now? Let's go one slide ahead. Of course, it would be possible to AC daisy chain those Tauros. As we can see here, 200 kV daisy chained, and then with a single AC cable connected to main distribution frame. What are the advantages now? Of course, the same as before. We don't need additional DC combiners. String monitoring is possible, but now we have even shorter AC cables, which means lower cable costs. And also think about the installation effort. Think about the 80 meters we have to run here an AC cable from the last tower on the bottom up to the main distribution frame. In this scenario, we would only have to run it one time and not two times. So also in regarding installation effort, it's a lot less now. Good. Let's step ahead. Let's take a closer look in a little bit bigger system. 2 megawatt peak PV installation, also free field. Now we talk about a little bit higher distances. As we can see, 160 times 160 meters. So a little bit bigger distances. Now we come into the range where we say it's more efficient to use a Fronius Tauro P option because we have longer distances to make. And as we know, with longer distances, we try to use more the DC cabling because with the high voltage, we don't have so much losses. So let's go through the advantages here. I also mentioned it now. Yeah, we have long DC cables. That's on the one side better because it's a lower in pricing than AC cabling. Actually, it's 4 times lower sometimes than AC cable. Also, we have less power losses, of course, compared to AC cabling for the same distance. And regarding access to the inverters, it's also very easy because all of the inverters are collected into one straight line, let's say. It's easy for installation, for commissioning, and also for monitoring and service. Because if you think about it, it's a 160 times 160 field. If an installer has to run through the whole place, it's not so easy. Then have all of them collected in one straight line. And in case of a service or in the commissioning, he just has to run between those in a straight line. Okay, so one example more left. Now I want to show you all the different options in one system. Actually, what's possible with the Tauro. First of all, it would be possible for an on-roof installation also. The Fronius Tauro D option here on a bigger building on the roof. We go down with the AC cable directly to the main distribution frame. Second one, of course, AC daisy chaining option would be possible here. It's on the bottom of the building, and we go down with the thinner DC cables connected directly with MC4 plugs and run then a AC cabling. Then a double AC cabling for longer distances. We would have here a car park a little bit further away, and here we would have also the Tauro D option, so monitoring and everything is possible. And with the double AC cabling, it would be also no problem regarding the cable losses. But of course, with the car park down below, we would consider also maybe a Tauro P options. a Tauro P option, because long distances we tend actually to use more the long DC cabling. Yeah, what's actually the conclusion right now? Which Tauro option should we use for which system? Let's start with the daisy chaining. Actually, AC daisy chaining is always more profitable at the total cost level. It's also the best option regarding saving AC cable lengths. Of course, we don't need to run 2 times the same length, only once. And it's also a very interesting option when the return on investment is most important, because of course we have usually lower investment costs because of the lower AC cabling we have to do. Yeah, looking at the advantages of the Tauro pre-combined option, I mentioned this also. DC cables are cheaper than AC cables, of course. About 4 times cheaper sometimes. Less losses due to high DC voltages. I also mentioned this. The higher the voltage, the lower the losses. And with this option, great distances are possible. It's also possible to connect aluminum and copper cables with a maximum of 95 square, as we already heard. So everything possible here with the Tauro P. Yeah, and in total, what's the conclusion? Where do we need which inverter? We can say it like this: for smaller plants with shorter cabling distances, we usually tend to use the D variant. It's more beneficial in this scenario. So let's say for below 1 megawatt systems. And then for bigger plants, for multi-megawatt systems, where we have usually longer cabling distances, we use the P option, long DC cables. And if the fast return on investment is most important, then the AC-DC chaining option comes into play. And of course, combinations of P and D variants can be used for a maximum design flexibility. That's also possible. And in total, we can say then the Fronius Tauro can be flexibly integrated into any system. That's the conclusion right now. Okay, so actually we are at the end of our webinar now. Before we end, I quickly want to show you where you can find further informations. Of course, stay tuned for the next webinars we have. You can find them online, of course, on our homepage. There you also can find operation and installation instructions. Also, I want to mention you're very welcome to visit our trainings. You can find the overview on the web page, on our homepage. Also, the registration you can find on the homepage. Just click on fronius.com, Solar Energy Info Center, and then on events you can find all of them listed and also with the correct date then. Yeah, also on YouTube you can find videos from us. On the one side, how-to and installation videos, and on the other side, webinar recordings, such as this one, for example. This webinar you will also find in the near future on YouTube, for example. Yeah, so at this point, I want to thank you very much for listening. Okay. My colleague just showed me we have a few comments. I quickly want to open the screen so I can read them.
Okay, so we have got some questions during the webinar from you, and I will read out the first questions that we regard so that all of you can hear it. First question was regarding the weight of the Tauro itself. So if the Tauro will come in one package or will be there multiple packages of lower weight. So the question was how to stack Tauro and how to transport it, and regarding the boxing of the Tauro itself.
That's actually a good question. We can answer it. Actually, it's delivered in a separate cardboard unit, and all of them is assembled in one piece. So a 70 kilowatt device is 70 kilo. It's not, you can not demontage it into several pieces. It's actually the whole device which comes.
And furthermore, the Tauro, so the boxes are stackable, so you are able to stack the boxes up to each other. So for warehousing, of course, it's a good possibility to have more devices on each other. So I think stacking and boxing will be no problem. Next question that we received is if there are overvoltage protections available. So what about lightning protection of the Tauro device?
That's also a very good question. It was not the topic of this webinar, but of course we can gladly answer it. There are lightning protection installed as standard. So actually we have surge protection devices on the DC and the AC side integrated as standard. So type 1 and 2 are as standard integrated here. Yeah.
Very good. And another topic was the presentation. Of course, you will get the presentation, the slides, and the recording of the slides automatically sent to your email address after the webinar. So 1 to 2 days, you will get these slides and the recording of the webinar to your email address sent.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, one last question. We got the question when the Tauro will be available. So actually, we calculate now with summer this year. So July should be start of sales for this product. And yeah, the reason why we start with these webinars are, of course, bigger systems are usually designed in a longer time frame, and therefore we want to bring you the content right now, even though it's not buyable right now. That's the reason. Okay, so I hope you could use some of the information we just gave you. I hope it was somewhat interesting. And yeah, thank you for listening, everybody. And yeah, right now we would just turn off the microphone. We will still be online for you guys to answer your questions, but we will write you back in the chat. So then, with that said, thank you for listening and see you the next time. Goodbye.